Hello to all of you viewers of Poland Daily Culture. My name is Maria Kądzielska, and again we take you today for a journey through something which concerns ownership and buildings, and today in the context, of course, of a ongoing war which is behind our border. But with me is a specialist in all constructions, buildings, and ownership, Craig Smith. Thank you very much for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yes.
Craig, and you are a publisher of Europa Property.com, which specializes magazine, which specializes in selling, buying, and everything else was connected to this. So you kind of look at the world and look at the towns and cities from a different perspective, like who is the owner, who built it,
who built it, who's buying it,
who's buying it, who's selling, which is hidden for an ordinary dweller or an ordinary citizen, usually because we didn't ask ourselves those questions.
You probably didn't care. If you go into a shopping mall or a building, in the end, who cares who owns it, right? You want to find the shop you want to buy something at, or go to the office that you want to go to, either working there or visiting someone,
Or visiting someone, of course. But sometimes it's always good to ask yourself a question like, who's behind all this?
Who owns this building?
Who owns this building? And why does it look like this, for example? Especially when it comes to older buildings. So that's kind of interesting as well. Well, I would be shocked if the Royal Palace in Warsaw was owned by Americans, but hopefully not.
I don't think it is, yes. But if it is, they didn't tell me about it, so I'm sure that it's owned by the government here, yes.
I see. Well, you keep your eye on buying and selling this one property.
Sure.
But talking about, of course, Ukraine, you had a bureau in Kiev as well with a lot of employees.
Yeah, a handful of people in Kiev, and we had a pretty good business there, yes.
And now it's a little bit over, isn't it?
Well, we're definitely changing it. I would say the last almost 90 days, it was nothing's really going on the commercial real estate front as we would normally used to, and also the development market. Most of the developers and the people with projects, or the company with projects, that had under construction, I would say that if not all of them, most of them took all those materials and built borders around the city, or built roadblocks around the city with these materials. So I would say anyone in commercial real estate is more highly focused on protecting the country, or protecting the city or the surroundings they have property in, yes.
So of course, in not rebuilding things. But on the other hand, are you hiring anyone right now currently in Warsaw and in Poland who's Ukrainian? Because we have such a huge wave of Ukrainian refugees, and they're all of them, of course, looking for a place to stay and a place to work.
Yeah, a place to work. Yes, we are actually, and I guess in the pluses and minuses, we found some very good people to work in our company, and that we, of course, knew from they were living in Ukraine before, so we knew them as, they were either clients or employees or partners in some projects. So yeah, it was almost like a whole new, let's say, pool of people that we already knew and that were now interested in coming to Warsaw. Yes.
And also already talking about this and the fact that so many Ukrainians came to Warsaw and are planning probably to stay here, how does it change the structure of the market here in Warsaw currently, when it comes to apartment, but also offices? Is it going to be harder?
Well, I noticed rents in residential have went up quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I guess the people renting apartments have done pretty well over the last 2 months, I would think. It's definitely, just walking around Warsaw, you hear a lot more Ukrainian, or, sometimes I don't know if they're speaking Ukrainian or Russian or, what they're speaking. So I assume the Ukrainians want to speak more Ukrainian just because of the situation at the moment. But yeah, it's definitely changed the structure of Warsaw, and I guess we'll just see how long it lasts, or if it continues this way. I think I get the impression that as soon as the Ukrainians, a lot of them, they can go back, they will go back. They didn't come here because they wanted to come here. It was more forced, yeah.
Of course, but on the other hand, maybe they will feel comfortable.
Exactly, and I think they do, I think most cases they do, and a lot of even the ones that we've hired, I said, look, if you want to go back to Ukraine at some point, no problem, because we've got the office there, so we'll just continue working together there.
So that's basically becomes the structure of it, and changing. Just from your perspective of a person who looks at the market, is it going to change anything in that?
Definitely, though, I mean, I would say Poland, if there's a beneficiary out of this, Poland is one of the, I'd say, countries benefiting or will benefit from this because a lot more investment is coming in. Let's assume the new front line is Poland, yeah, so on the east, and so definitely a lot more American companies are coming in, more American projects are coming in, and I would say anything from NATO or Europe is also coming in. And when this war finishes, also a huge wave of just construction and reconstruction funds and companies will be entering Ukraine, and that's one of the reasons I said one of the things we're changing kind of the structure is really just even now more introducing Western companies, Polish companies, whether they're architects or construction companies, to local partners in Ukraine. So we already have the local partners in Ukraine. So it's really bringing some maybe some international business there.
And we'll talk more about it in the next episode.
All right.
But of course, to all of you, the viewers of Finland Daily, we strongly encourage you to look from, I would say, the other perspective at the view of Warsaw, the view of any city, and think about who built it, who owns it, who's rebuilding it, and why, because it gives you a lot of knowledge. And again, thank you very much for watching our show.